Just 10 years after the power of Western capitalism had buried rusted-out Soviet communism, we provided a new opening for an authoritarian powerhouse to quietly and rapidly sneak up on us. Beijing's communist regime was able to pursue economic enrichment without the corresponding political liberalization that the West had expected. And then one day, the West woke up, and we found that much of our industrial heartlands had been hollowed out, and regions were collapsing from job outsourcing. Our economies were reliant on a country that was, at best, a serious rival, and at worst, a hostile threat. Now, I seek no fight with China or its people, who constitute a brilliant and extraordinary civilization. In fact, if we're being honest with ourselves, China and its people have been outworking, outsmarting, and out-hustling us in the West for the last 30 years. This is a country that went from having 80% of its people living on less than $1 a day to being the second biggest economy in the world in 50 years. It has never happened. But China's rise has come at a serious cost to political and economic freedom in the world. And too often, Western countries and corporate interests have enabled it, sometimes naively, sometimes cynically. We, Canada and the United States, cannot afford to continue to ignore the ways in which Beijing's communist regime has used its growing economic power to threaten our vital interests. President Trump's efforts to prepare and protect the United States from this growing challenger, which is a regime, by the way, that our own Prime Minister in Canada called the single biggest threat to Canada, is fully founded. Canada, however, should be seen as a friend and not a foe in that effort. Instead of treating each other as rivals, Canada and the U.S. should look at the big picture. The real threats to our economies and to our security come not from each other, but from Beijing, from Moscow, from Tehran, and from their proxies.